What up, gamers? I'm Jason.
I'm Julie.
And today on Dice and Dragons, we have a special episode for you as we will be saying goodbye to 2021 in just a few days. And for those of you that are fans of the channel and saw how we started 2021, we decided it would be fun to say goodbye to the worst games that we reviewed this year. May you never grace our table again. Good riddance.
So if you didn't see, just to understand that, is we started off the year with a horrendous game. And we thought, well, why not say goodbye to all those? There wasn't that many. There was a handful of pretty bad games that we played this year. And so we'll count those down to you, starting with number 5 down to the absolute worst games that, spoiler, was the first game we played in the year.
Yeah, so if you are a big fan of the channel, you will probably know what it is. We also have a Dishonorable Mention, which is an expansion. So we'll be covering 6 games as we go through this. Now, you may actually enjoy these games as well. So if you do, feel free to let us know why in the comments below. This is our personal opinion, and we have not gone through this list and done anything besides calculating what our review score was, the combination between the two of us, and we have picked the worst 5. So we just went through everything, got the data, and we are now presenting it to you. We will also be covering our best games of 2021. We figured that'd be a great way to start off 2022. So expect that coming out next week. Should be a fun one. And once we do that, we will also have a link down below in the video description to the list of all the games that we played in 2020, in 2021, so you can see what our combined review score was. Did I miss anything at all, Julie?
I think that's it.
All right, so we're gonna get prepped for everything here. So we will grab our drink, grab our best friend.
We're not going to take it at table this time, but we'll take it to the iPad scores.
Yes, we'll review the scores and be right back. And we're back, so we are going to start with our Dishonorable Mention. Now, for those of you used to us introducing the game, who it's by, the publisher, all that stuff, we're not going to be doing that in order to keep the pace going smoothly through this entire, I was going to say top 10 list. I don't know what we should call it then.
Bottom 5 list.
The bottom 5 list or the dishonorable list? You will, however, see a card popping up when we are discussing.
We can call it the least wanted.
The least wanted, I like that. Our least wanted list. And what will happen is a card will pop up that will take you back to our review of the game. You'll also be able to find all the details about it that you could ever want on those videos themselves. So our first thing to talk about, or should I say our first hero to talk about, is the Valkyrie expansion pack for Marvel Champions. Now, we love Marvel Champions, and this was the first expansion that actually scored under a 6. So that's the bar. If you got a 6 and over, you're not on this list, you're under a 6, well, guess what? You made it to the list. And Valkyrie was the only expansion to make this list. So what did you not like about her character there, Julie?
She just wasn't, she's too streaky, I guess you'd call it. Too dependent on how the cards come up. There's a couple cards, if they come up perfectly, you can do a lot of damage, but generally, just that the deck for her is just not much fun to play. Doesn't make her very efficient. She was very underwhelming, I would say, compared to everything else we've played. Just wasn't a lot of fun to play.
Yeah, and I have to agree with you, and we got some comments on a review video, and someone put it in a better way than I think we did in our review. The deck doesn't synergize well, and there are some cool cards in there, so there is some value to buying Valkyrie if you like going through deck construction, but the way that her hero cards synergize with the existing deck and even some of the existing cards in Marvel Champions is just a big letdown. Having to pay for that death glow ability, not having cards that let you use it for free. When we played Nebula afterwards, you can use her techniques for free with some cards that don't cost any resources, go figure. It was just a huge disappointment. So Valkyrie, sorry, you made the list. Maybe we'll play you again in the future, but definitely no rush to get her back to the table. So what is next on our list, Julie? So we've got coming in at number 5 is, so we're going up. So number 5 is better than the other ones on the list, is Robotech Cyclone Run. Now,
one of the numerous Robotech games that hit the table.
Not numerous. We played a few in 2021. We played one in 2020, one in 2021. So we haven't played a lot of them.
You said 2021 twice to my ear. So one in 2020 and one in 2021?
Yes. And one in 2019. We do have a few of them, but we haven't. They didn't all get played in the same year.
I didn't give. Jason gave this a better score than me. This was not passable to me. For one, I'm going to say Robotech Games. I don't know the franchise, the IP. It's not one of my IPs. Jason loves it. So I think he gave it a little bit better score. Excuse me. I dragged it below 6 because I said it was a non-passable game. Honestly, it's one of those forgettable games. And I think that might come up a few times when we were talking about the games that made the bottom, the least wanted list. I don't remember much about it except that I did not enjoy playing it. And that it frustrated me.
So I gave the game a little bit better score than Julie because I appreciated its compact factor. It's very easy to play just about anywhere. You can almost take it as a nice, small travel game. I enjoyed the theme and it captured the theme of Robotech very well, but where it struggled a lot was the randomness. I mean, depending on what characters you can activate, the cards that you get, and the abilities that you get, it's really going to affect your score. This is more of a kill 30 minutes because you like the theme more so than anything else. So I completely understand why this didn't go over well for Julie. You're really just moving on a grid and trying to get the highest score. So it's pretty cool. You can also get the the original Robotech version of this, which is called Robotech Ace Pilot, that takes place during the first era, known as the Macross Saga, or if you're a big fan of the franchise, you know that it's Super Dimensional Fortress Macross. So if you're a Macross fan, not a Robotech fan, get Ace Pilot because you'll be taking your Valkyrie fighters or Veritech fighters and defeating Zentradi instead of fighting the Invid and Cyclone one. It wasn't a bad game. It's just something that, as Julie said, it's a little bit on the forgettable side. It's made our list of games to clear out. Don't hate it. Don't love it. Neither of us really want to get it back to the table anytime soon. Maybe we'll pick up Ace Pilot if I find it on sale in the future, but not a rush to relive that experience.
So I think we can move on to number 4 on the list.
Yes, and number 4 is, if you're wondering what we're doing, just double checking.
Gargoyles Awakening.
Yeah, just double checking over here. So yes, Gargoyles
So this was
Awakening.
the opposite scenario. I gave it a passable grade. I gave it a 6. Jason gave it just under that. The reason I gave it a passable grade is because I think that this could be a fun family game. It's very much on the easy side, which I think is one of the reasons why it frustrated Jason.
Well, that's part of it, but there's a lot of other issues that I'll talk about later.
Yeah. So for me, I mean, there was some frustration with some of the things that just take a long time to do for nothing in some of the scenarios. But it's an easy game that I think is accessible to a lot of people. It's just not the best game. We have others out there that we've reviewed that could be accessible to less, let's call them non-gamers or people that game less often than we do. It was disappointing for the franchise. I would have liked this to be a little bit more fun. I would have enjoyed it. Are we going to keep it? I think we may keep it.
Oh, no, it's already gone.
Oh, it's gone?
Yeah,
okay.
It's already gone. It got sent out. Like, goodbye, ciao, you did not pass go. I was a lot more frustrated with it than you.
Obviously, I didn't even know it left the collection.
Well, I sent it to some friends who are getting their kids into the IP, so they wanted to get it, and I know that they gave it to them for Christmas, so I'll have to see what their thoughts are on it as a family game. I think the main issue that I sent it on, the main reason I sent it on is because we would have to store it for a couple years before we could really play it with our little guy. And my reason for giving it a below average score is I had to repair the terrain. And it's all 3D terrain. A lot of it was already damaged when it was punched out, or very easily got damaged while it was being punched out. So I'm gluing stuff, trying to put stuff together. Also, the box is too small. You cannot fit all of the terrain assembled, and with it having such a low quality, that was a big issue for me because I don't want to take it apart every single time when eventually the game is just going to wear out. And another big issue that I had with the game, and this is probably my biggest one and why it left the collection, was the fact that we didn't really use the special abilities and the cards of our characters the way I thought we would. A lot of the time, just moving and making a basic move and a basic attack action was more than enough, and you didn't need to spend the extra resources to play cards. And sometimes we never even cycled through the deck, and that just straight up sucked. It was really not all that much fun. The game is accessible. If you're a huge fan of the IP and have kids that are a fan of the IP, you're going to play it, you're going to have fun with it, but you can even take a look at Board Game Geek. I know that this is scored something like a 6.3 on Board Game Geek, and it keeps going down. So the game is very much meh. Take it or leave it, but it wasn't worth keeping on the shelf for shelf space, because by the time our little guy's going to play it, well, guess what? We'll have found something better, I'm sure. Yep. So that was Gargoyle's Awakening. I know there's some people out there that love it. I love the IP. I can hear the theme song in my head right now. I love the connection back to the Star Trek actors with Xanatos being played by Jonathan Frakes. I don't know why I was thinking Michael Frakes. Jonathan Frakes and Marina Sirtis. So great IP. Just wish the game was a lot better.
So moving on to number 3. For me...
Hang on. I want to say something about this. This is probably our most controversial pick for this list. We didn't like it. A lot of people love this game. It's got an over 8 rating on Board Game Geek. We're going to explain why it didn't hit for us, even though it has a lot of things that typically we love in big miniature games.
So number 3 for us is Bloodborne, and I'll be very honest. Jason showed me the list because, as we said, this is based on our scores, so it's not us picking. It's not a top 10. It's really the lowest scored games. And he showed me the list, and I said, "What's Bloodborne again?" So just to tell you, I mean, yes, we play a lot of games in a year. We play over 50 games a year, obviously, somewhere between 50 and 75 games a year.
No, well, it depends. Sometimes with expansions, we probably get a little bit more played, but we've gone under because sometimes we do have videos like this, but I'd say you're probably closer to between 40 to 50 games.
Okay, so we play at least 50 games a year. I don't remember them all. Jason remembers all of them with great detail. This is one of the games that I couldn't remember. Jason even brought it up on Board Game Geek and showed it to me. I'm like, oh yeah, I kind of remember playing this. For me, there was a lot of hype about this game. Jason was very excited about getting it to the table, and we played it, and I was like,
Well, the table presence is fantastic, and if you don't follow the channel, you're just checking us out with this list for the first time. We love our miniatures. We love awesome table presence. It had great components. She was all about the hunters. I showed her the box, and she's like, oh, this is kind of cool. She likes a lot of the dark fantasy stuff, so it had that vibe. And when she saw the components, she was like, this is going to have some nice table presence. And as we're playing it, you really liked everything we had on the table. It really didn't come together for us. I'll let you continue.
Well, so for me, it never pulled me in. We had a lot of frustrations with the way I guess it's the map was coming up.
Yeah, the randomness of the map. So you've got a campaign, and what's frustrating for a rule, and most people ignore this rule, if you fail during the campaign, which is 3 or 4 missions, I can't remember exactly right now, you have to go back to the start. Most people ignore that, but the maps aren't set. They are randomized. The first time we played, we did not complete Chapter 1. We made some mistakes. It's fine, our first game. All right, we got it back out. We completed it. There was a few things that frustrated us, such as the timing track with the Hunter's Dream, but we got a much better layout, and it was fun. Then we got on to the second mission, and we failed that the first time. We decided not to go back and restart because we're also playing this for review purposes, so we're like, gotta just keep going. And then we had all of the negatives come out at once. We finally got to the boss. There was a specific thing that we had to do in order to defeat the boss, which was pull them from where they spawn to another location. Because of the way the tiles went out, we literally did not have enough time with the actions available to move the character before you would have the reset. So Bloodborne is based on a video game, and it adapts just about all of those video game mechanics into the game. And I like video game mechanics. I love video games. I don't necessarily always want them in the board game. And the reset mechanic I thought was a big problem, something that both of us really disliked. When you go to the Hunter's Dream, that also moves the timing track, the Hunter's Moon track up. So having this reset point and this timer track with all of these punishing rules. Now, Bloodborne is a difficult game in the vein of Dark Souls if you don't know the IP. So it's supposed to be challenging. I just did not have fun. If I wanted resets and things like that, I'm going to play a video game because I don't have to set it all up on the table, and it's going to be far less annoying and in my face than I found it in this board game. And I know that was one of the things that you really disliked. When we spawned the boss and we were both counting it out, you're like, can we even get him back there? And I looked at you and I said, the way the follow mechanics work, I go, no, he's going to reset. And then we're going to have to just try to come back. And I go, and then you look and you go, can we even pull him there again by the time we get to the end of the track? And you're like, no, we're going to run out of time. So we literally lost the game because of random tile placement. And we knew at the moment we spawned the boss. That was just the end of it. It was a really disappointing experience and not something that either of us wanted to go through again. Now, I understand why people like the game. They love the IP. They love the table presence. That stuff doesn't bother them. I was hoping for Bloodborne to be adapted to a cool tabletop game. That's not at all what we got. And it made our bottom 5 for the year. So that game is definitely out of the collection. Some went on to a different owner, and they were quite excited about it. So hopefully they're enjoying the crap out of it right now.
So, number 2 on our list, I think was also pretty early in the year. I think we started off the year with a bunch of games that we didn't enjoy.
It wasn't that early. I'd say it was about midway point through the year.
Oh, was this a birthday present?
It was not a birthday present. This was a game that I purchased to get free shipping. It was $10 shipping, or I could spend $20 on this game and get free shipping. I was like, you know what? You love the IP. We like covering IP games. I go, this is cooperative. Also, like, cooperative competitive, I'm like, this can't be terrible. I'm like, this is going to be just a pass. It'll be decent. I mean, this is by Cryptozoic, and they've done some cool, fun card games. Wrong. This was IP license garbage. So what is it, Julie? It'll appear now in front of you.
So it is Wonder Woman 84, the card game. And I guess I was going to say maybe we should have known based on how bad the movie was, as far as we're concerned, that this game wouldn't be much better. Excuse me. I just remember hating the game. I don't remember much more about it, but saying, I'm pretty sure I made the comment, this is as bad as the movie.
Yes.
We have a pretty good Wonder Woman game that I enjoy.
It's right over there. Challenge of the Amazons. It's been a while since I got to the table, but I remember us playing that and you're like, sleeve it up, because Ravensburger doesn't have great card quality. So you're like, sleeve it up, but that one's not going anywhere.
Yeah, that one was fun. This one, just garbage. I'm trying to remember what score we gave it. So Jason gave it a 4. I gave it a 5. I have trouble giving games under 5. To me, a 5 is pretty bad, and I think I'm not.
In retrospect, you're wondering why you did it.
There's another game that I gave a 4 that I probably could have given lower to, our number 1 bottom spot, but I'm not going to jump there yet. But basically, this Wonder Woman 84 game, I remember saying I wouldn't even recommend it to non-gamers. I think it's just, as Jason said, IP license junk as far as I'm concerned.
Here's the funny thing. The game went on sale at 401 Games, Canadian Game Store. They discounted it down to $7.95. They still couldn't get rid of it. It hit their 50% off Boxing Day sale. They sold all their last copies for $4. That's how bad the game was. I don't know if I'm ever going to get rid of our copy, but who knows? Maybe it'll be part of a giveaway and you'll be the unlucky winner that gets it.
I'd say put it in a garage sale someday.
Maybe. I'm not so sure what we're going to be doing with that one. But yes, Wonder Woman 84, just not a good game. You're just trying to match symbols and defeat enemies that don't even look like enemies. It's like Wonder Woman holding a guy by his leg saying, this is a bad guy. Like, yeah, just awful. And all 4 players are Wonder Woman for some reason. Just don't get me started. Terrible game. They just had the IP and someone was like, yeah, make a game out of it. Yeah. So, it's terrible. Do not get this game. Now,
no,
probably...
Terrible, horrible game, never buy this game, is the game we started off 2021 on. And I'm glad that 2021 did not follow the trend of this game, because this is a game that Jason gave a 2. And I gave a 4.
So I want to also be clear. This was supposed to be Julie's Christmas present. It wasn't guaranteed. It was a Kickstarter. But one of the reasons I backed it is because reasonable cost. Got the deluxe edition. We like our deluxeified games here. And it was supposed to arrive before Christmas. It did not. It arrived in January. So I was a little irritated, but not overly so. But then the game got to the table. And oof. Everything went wrong from the first play of this game.
Yeah, Jason played it solo first.
Oh, no, I tried to play it solo. The rules in the box are not compatible with solo play, even though there were solo rules. I did not have enough cards to beat the amount of enemies based on the scenario and setup. I had to literally defeat. So let's explain the game, just for those people that don't know it. It's almost like
war. Did we
war.
even say what game it was? I don't think we did. We're looking at it. So this game...
I thought you said the name.
I did not.
So it appeared already on screen, but we'll say it just to be clear anyway. You can see how much we despise this game. We just had to rip it to shreds without telling you what it was.
So this is the Umbrella Academy game, and Jason got it for me because I was enjoying watching the TV show. And I thought it was pretty cool, so he got me
Cooperative game too.
Yeah. So basically, Umbrella Academy. Continue what you were saying.
Yeah, so the game plays a lot like War. There is an enemy card with a value on it. You have to play a higher card than it from your hand. There are also different effects that you have on those cards that you may want to trigger, as well as your own special ability. Now, the rules in the box are unplayable for solo because at some point I was looking at them like, wow, I've got 7 cards. I need to defeat 10 cards. How does this even work? You need to defeat enough scenarios to eventually defeat the enemy and win the game. So my first card that I got didn't work. Instead of having rules to be like, okay, so when you're playing solo, you only take these cards and put them into your deck. You have to exclude the ones that are like 8 or 9 because you're just not going to have enough resources. Yeah, wasn't in there. So I literally looked at Julie. She came over and she's like, well, you can figure this out. You're the rules guy. I go, can you read these rules and tell me if I'm wrong? She looked at the rules. She goes, no, literally, like, you're playing it right. I go, huh. So the first card drawn, I couldn't win. So giant red flag right there. Now, the game was clearly designed and balanced around a higher player count, so playing with all 6 characters. And from what I've seen from people that have enjoyed the game or played, said it's okay. Like, no one's raving about this game, but it's okay. Now, I go ahead and look on the Kickstarter and I find out there are updated rules. The rules were available in September. Mind you, we got this game in January. The company was too cheap to reprint the rules and send them out. The company didn't even send a reminder in the box on a piece of paper to go find the updated rules so that you have a better experience with the game. They expected
or send an email.
They didn't send anything. So I had to go back from an update in September. And for those people that back Kickstarter games, you know how many updates you get and you don't follow all of them meticulously. So you have to go find the rules. The rules were actually unprintable, so you couldn't print them out. The layout was all wrong. It was just a disaster. They even had fans go in there and try to clean up the rules. So all in all, just a terrible, terrible experience. And the game was awful. The worst game we played of the year. And the first game we played of the year at the same time.
Right. Now it's a good thing we had some good games in the year because otherwise...
And what do you want to say? Did I just rip it apart enough for you?
I mean, you gave it a 2, so I think you ripped it enough. I mean, to me, it wasn't any fun. I don't know how many times I don't mind hard games. I don't mind difficult, challenging games. But I hate when you pick up, as you said, you pick up your cards and you're like, yeah, based on this, I'm not, like, we haven't played the game, but we're not winning this game. So to me, it was just very frustrating. I also seem to recall that the powers that the people had were not very well balanced. So it was pretty frustrating that way as well, or not really applicable. So
certain characters were better than others. It was, I don't remember the name of the characters. You know the IP more than me. Who's the character that plays the violin?
I should remember this. I haven't seen the show in over a year. It doesn't matter.
But she could get rid of enemy cards. There was 2 characters that could essentially defeat enemy cards without playing a card. You play with them, you had a much better chance of winning compared to all the other powers available in the game.
Yeah. Bottom line, these are the bottom least wanted games that we played. We would obviously don't want them back on the table. Jason has gotten rid of most of them. I think you got rid of Umbrella. Did you find a poor sap who bought it?
I didn't find a poor sap that bought it. I put it up. It was a deluxe edition. They wanted the deluxe edition, and it made its way overseas. That's how badly they wanted to get a copy of the game. So
on that note, those are the least wanted games.
None of the games. So 2 of the games are still in the collection. Valkyrie is going to stay, and yeah, the other 2 are up for sale if you want them. Like I said, Cyclone Run isn't terrible if you're a Robotech fan, but if you want the Wonder Woman game, like, I don't know. I don't think we're getting rid of that one ever. I think that might be stuck here.
So that's how we those are the bottom games. We will start off the year on a more positive note, as Jason said. So if you want to know the top 5 games of 2020.
Oh no, we got a top 10 list because we had some really. 2021 was a good year for games, and we played some of the best games that were released in 2020 and 2021. So it was a lot harder to get it down to a 5. So we'll have a full top 10 list for you.
Well, it's not going to be a top 10 list like we normally do. It's just going to be the top 10 rated games that we reviewed in 2021. That's going to come up next week. So on a more positive note. But on that note, Jason, I think it's time to remind people to like, comment, subscribe, and hit the bell to be notified when we have new content for you.
Yes, and take a look down below in the video description. You'll find links to all of our social media feeds, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. You'll find pictures of all these games that we played on all those feeds. If you're looking for any of these games for whatever particular reason, you can also find our contact info on there, because like I said, I still got 2 of them. If you want to get rid of them, send us an email. Also, you can take a look at the link to multizone.ca, great Canadian game store. Click that link, you'll get 10% off your next purchase, and it's a great way to support the channel. As a portion of that purchase is returned to us. And then popping up in front of us are going to be links to some of our previously released content. In front of me will be our most recent release. In front of Julie, when it is available, so next week, you will find the link to our top games that we reviewed in 2021. Also, we'll throw a link down there, as I mentioned before, to our scores for all the games we reviewed in 2020 and 2021, so you can get the actual scores for the games. We didn't talk about all of them. We just gave you the worst of the worst. And on that note, we are going to grab our drink, grab our best friend, and, we didn't have to have therapy from these games, so I guess we're okay.
But we will, as always,
remind you to keep playing games.